You are now tuned into the sounds of Big Nate Sports Talk. It's on all the time, anytime.
Tuned in to Big Nate Sports Talk, the show that is on all the time, anytime. And now, ladies and gentlemen, the next big thing, the latest up-and-coming sports journalist, your host, Nathan Snell.
This is how I believe, okay? I'm from the old school. I believe this. I would rather play with 10 people and just get penalized all the way until we got to do something else, rather than play with 11 when I know that right now that person is not sold out to be a part of this team. It is more about them than it is about the team. I cannot play with them, cannot win with them, cannot coach with them, can't do it. I want winners. I want people that want to win.
Now, if you want to crown them, then crown their ass. But they are who we thought they were, and we let them off the hook.
This is what's great about sports. This is what the greatest thing about sports is. You play to win the game. Hello? You play to win the game. You don't play to just play it. That's the great thing about sports. You play to win. And I don't care if you don't have any wins. You go play to win. When you start telling me it doesn't matter, then retire. Get out. Because it matters.
Could've, would've, should've is the difference of what I'm talking about. The good teams don't come in and say could've. They get it done. All right? It's that simple. I'm tired of saying could've, should've, would've. That's why we ain't good enough yet. Because we're saying could've and they ain't.
What's that? Playoffs? Don't talk about it. Playoffs? You kidding me? Playoffs? I just hope we can win a game. Another game.
What's up? It's your host, Nathan Snell of Big Nate Sports Talk Podcast, episode 9, season 17. And in this episode, we are so everly grateful talking about the Washington Commanders. We're going into week 15. Washington's coming off a bye week. Prior to the bye week, but before we get into that, let's just get some things up front. Episode 10, 11, and 12. Those episodes will be recorded. We're previewing the Baltimore Ravens tomorrow, as this video is recorded tomorrow, Sunday. We're talking with the Maryland women's basketball team. We're recapping a lot. Got to get some stuff in there, as well as the men's. I'm also planning to record my official WNBA 1.0 2024 WNBA mock draft. I'm staying tuned for that. I have a very special guest coming on the podcast Tuesday, but that episode will be recorded, so stay tuned for that. I'll drop a hint on Twitter. And we're also can't forget about the men. Maryland's been, and then we're also talking about Maryland football because we're getting ready for a bowl game against Auburn. We want to get some thoughts about just kind of how the season went and some things have happened with the football team. But let's just get into it. It's week 15, and the Commanders, excuse me. At this point, our season's pretty much a wrap. It'd be soon enough. We'd be 1, 2, 3 Cancun. Before we get into them playing Los Angeles, let me take you back. The last time you saw me was a few weeks ago, just before Thanksgiving, and I really wasn't expecting much. In this game, we lost 45-10 on Thanksgiving.
I mean, damn!
Game. We're now 2-9 against Dallas when we play them on Thanksgiving. Pretty much after the first half, the game was pretty much over. I wasn't expecting much. Last year, same thing. Going into that game, Dallas went 8-3. They've allowed only 60 points at home as a team, and they've yet to trail so far in the 5 home games. Besides being down 2 possessions, we were kind of the underdogs by 2 touchdowns. The first 2 possessions, it looked okay. We punted in their own territory the first 2 possessions. It was on 4th and 2 from their 43 in the second drive. And then they responded with that 11-play, 90-yard touchdown drive. And then after that, couldn't find Washington. During the first three of their 4 second half possessions, they turned the ball over. As a cohesive unit, we had no answers once again on the defensive side of the ball. There's no answers. Dak Prescott, I don't even want to call it a lucky break. I think it was just a bad pass, especially on their opening drive where Dak overthrew CeeDee Lamb and Jalen Tolbert, and they were both open on deep shots. The next 3 possessions, they went in the exact order. It was 90, 75, and 75 yards. Dak Prescott was 13 of 18 for 221 yards, if I remember correctly, 2 touchdowns, and then finished the game 22 of 32 and 4 touchdowns. Threw over almost 331 yards, if I remember correctly. Dallas averaged 10.5 plays in the first half. 15 of their 26 first downs in the first half. Of their snaps were first down. 15. I'm trying to give you context of what's happened. Sam Howell, I thought, bounced back, especially after Deron Blaine had the interception. He broke the record. Congratulations. But Sam did pretty well. He did okay. He was 15, 21, threw for 159 yards, if I remember correctly, after 2 quarters. He had that impressive 13-play drive going into halftime and had the 1-yard touchdown. And then he moved the chains, if I remember correctly, it was a 15-yard completion to Jahan on that 3rd and long. And then that's when he threw the pick. We were down 28 points at that point in the 4th quarter, and then Bland returned it for 63 yards. So, other than that, there was really nothing more I could take away from this game. I mean, they sacked Tommy DeVito the week before 9 times. There was essentially no pass rush against Dallas. And they finished the game without a sack in 4 games since trading Montez Sweat and Chase Young. Where's my clip?
Mm-hmm. I can't defend that. Mm-hmm. What do you want me to say to that?
He didn't even try.
There?
It was just bad. I mean, Dak Prescott had enough time in the pocket to do his taxes, brush his hair. I mean, had plenty of time to find open receivers. I mean, Tony Pollard had touched the ball, carried the ball 13 times for 79 yards, if I remember correctly. Sam Howell, which has been pretty much the story of this whole season, has an offensive line that can't even guard. Can't even defend, can't block. I mean, if there was 5 of me, I could find 5 other guys that I know off the street, and we could be a better offensive line than what Sam Howell has. But Micah Parsons, I believe, got his sack on Sam. That was in the 4th quarter. Boo-hoo. We relied heavily on the run game in the first half. I mean, we did have a little bit more time of possession, but then after that, we just couldn't move. We just couldn't move the ball, and that was disgusting. And that's simply won't win you games, and that's a known fact. And I knew going into that game we weren't going to win. We weren't going to do anything. It was bad. That's probably the worst performance, particularly on the defensive side of the ball, I've seen in quite some time. Again, we trade that. Like, I think if Chase or Montez was here, it's no better. And then again, I've heard a lot of stuff. It doesn't matter if it's podcast, doesn't matter if it's reading news articles. I heard all the criticism on Sam Howell, and I'm going to save that to the end of the season, because I'm really trying my damnness hard. I'm trying my hardest to really hold my tongue, because I mean, some of the things that I'm hearing, it's just mind-boggling that I hear both sides, but it is hard to evaluate Sam Howell with, I mean, is he perfect? No. I mean, does he do too much? Yes. Holds to the ball too long. I mean, when he threw the pick 6, that was pretty much the icing on the cake. But where this team is, I mean, how can you evaluate him? He has shown to me. I can't evaluate him. I just don't think it's fair. I mean, he has shown to me there's a lot of ability to keep his eyes down the field, and I essentially, I'm just concerned about the development, because again, I'm going to hold off. I'm just going to give you just a little bit, because there are some questions I have, because it's particularly wherever we draft. Okay. A quarterback's not going to fix these problems in Washington. A quarterback is not going to fix what's happening in Washington. Anywho, I'm trying to hold my tongue. I'm trying, but y'all are going to get more of my in-season eval, because, once again, we've been talking about how he holds the ball too long. but you're going to keep seeing more because his offensive line can't protect him. It's crappy. The playmaking, they're not utilizing McLaurin. The playmaking, just the protection, the offense as a complete unit sucks. And some of that is on coaching, a little bit's on Eric, a little bit's on Ron, but it just the development, other than Sam Howell, we can't defend that. But I can't put all the blame on him. But we're seeing more bad than good. But I've seen more good than bad, because the bad is just saying, just get rid of him. And then let's not while we get into play calling, Terry McLaurin. I think he's a good wide receiver. But this is not good season, and this is not on him. I mean, Eric Bieniemy has not done a good enough of a job to get him the ball. And that was my point a couple weeks ago in terms of playmaking ability. Why are you not getting the ball to your playmakers? And some of that is, to me, is how the offense is designed to spread the ball around. Has Terry made mistakes? Yes. Do you remember a few weeks ago, Terry McLaurin, Sam Howell threw him 2 beautiful passes, and they were 2 crucial. What happened? Left his hands on the bench, dropped them, hit him right in his hands, and they were costly. Everybody wanted to blame Sam. The passes were there. Give you another example. You go back and look at the tape. The second half in the game against Dallas, there was a pass he threw, sent through to Terry across the middle of the field, which would have been a first down. What happened? He dropped it.
I can't defend that. What do you want me to say to that?
I don't know if it's frustration. I don't know if he's dealing with an injury, but he's not getting separation that he normally does, and this is disappointing. Like, it's just it's getting hard to continue to just evaluate some of these losses, and these losses can't be defended because the way we're losing, and it's embarrassing. And then my next point, I knew we weren't going to beat Miami. Like, we played them. You think coming off a week against Dallas, what are we going to see any different? We had no answers for Tyreek Hill. Tyreek Hill finished. He touched the ball, caught the ball 5 times. He had 157 yards. And what we tried to do was put more people over the top, and that didn't work. I mean, on the first touchdown was the third offensive play, was a 7-yard play. I mean, he just past Quan Martin, who was lined up in man coverage.
I can't defend that. What do you want me to say to that?
And then the problem on that play was, if you look back at the tape, Cam Curl, who's a safety, was on the other side of the field and couldn't catch up. Okay. The second time, this time it was a 60-yarder. Same thing. Now, he made Tyreek made an adjustment route to make the catch, but he already had beaten Kendall Fuller and Percy Butler to get behind the defense. Like, you couldn't stop him. You weren't going to contain Raheem Morstead, because that opens up the field for Jalen Waddle, Morstead, and the rest of the offense. And again, goes back to my point about this offense. It's just bad habits. I mean, Sam Howell, he had 17 points, and stuff, especially looking at the Giant play, using against the Giants, is Sam has to be better at throwing the ball away. If he can't, if the pocket slaps or he can't find anybody, he has to be better at throwing the ball. I mean, there was it was a screenplay, if I remember correctly. It was against the Giants. I want to say it was same situation. And it's just got to be better. And the defenses, when you watch us on the offensive side of the ball, like they're getting into the end zone more as we do. And that's a lot because it's just while we have these occasional bursts of production, I mean, we've only had 2 30-point performances, and that's come against one team. We've been held to 20 points or less in the last 8 games. And it's making it hard to look and say it's just Sam. Again, it's utilizing your playmakers, and they're just bad habits. And same thing, giving up the big plays. I mean, and Terry McLaurin didn't get touched. He did not get touched at all. I mean, he was essentially nowhere to be found. I mean, he hit 0 yards on 3 targets. That's coaching. That's on Eric. And again, like it took essentially 3 drives to get a pass in his direction. It was a 3rd and 3 on the 32-yard line, and the pass, I remember correctly, it was out of reach. Like, what are we doing? And then the same thing, it was on the 34-yard line. He was a great pass, and some of that Sam took some blame, but some of that I don't know. And they got to figure out how to get him involved more. But Sam did have a bad day. Vic Fangio's defense just made it tough for him. I mean, they moved the ball but they went 3 on the next 2 drives. There was the Van Ginkel interception. That was intended for Johan Dobson. And then he's thrown 5 interceptions in the last 3 games. And he's only thrown 4 picks in his last 7 games. He's had an interception returned for a score the last 3 straight weeks. He responded well with a 10-yard play, a 10-play, 75-yard drive, and a 1-run touchdown. He scrambled for 13 yards on a fourth down in the 3rd quarter. Painfully, Sam Howell was sacked. I believe it was 3 times. And he was 12 of 23 for 127 yards. That's the most disappointing, I'd say, game I've seen so far this season. And then to make matters worse, Brian Robinson got hurt, suffering a hamstring injury. He was essentially the bright spot in the offense for the first half of the game for us. And then he went down in the second half with a hamstring injury. He had 7 carries, 53 yards, and then there was a 20-yard 9 that set up our first touchdown. Chris Rodriguez, he got some love out there. He touched the ball for seven times for 29 yards. Curtis Samuel, who I thought did okay. He led us in receiving yards for second straight game, 4 catches, 65 yards. He had 9 catches for 100 yards against Dallas. Not bad. I'll take that. But I don't know. I really feel as though that at this point, I just think, I mean, the flag was thrown out before going into Dallas for me. I said if you watched the last video, I couldn't. I think that I ideally, I'm curious to see where we're going to draft because I have my list of needs. I'm not going to talk about that until the end of the season video. I mean, Eric Bieniemy, as much as I respect the job that he does, this conversation, and I know this may ruffle some feathers, but this offense has not progressed to where he is in a consideration to be a head coach. If anything, it's going the wrong way. And I just think he's not scheming receivers. They're clearly frustrated. I think some offensive line issues. I mean, particularly he wanted Andrew Wiley on the starting lineup, and he has been he's been our weakest link in this group of offensive line. And I just don't understand that. And again, like I said, I've said this before and I'll say it again. Firing Ron and these guys now doesn't fix anything. I feel as though we came into the season with him, finished the season with him, and start all over again in the offseason. And there's just a lot. And the same thing going back to the Dallas game. I'm not putting all that blame on Sam. I mean, I would say in his first 10 games, I'd say that, again, there's been more good than bad. But yes, the offensive line can't protect him. That's a problem. And I would have thought there'd been adjustments. Yes, he's made throws that make you say, this is the guy. But looking at the last 3 games, looking at the tape, he's not had Sam Howell games. And I mean, there's been some good moments on those games, like the first 3 quarters against Dallas. But as a whole, not seen that. He is trying to use his legs more, where he rushed for 2 touchdowns. But the passing game, it's like there's no confidence there. And in fact, again, we can't put all that blame on Sam. The same issues are still there. I mean, this offensive line cannot protect the side of a barn. I mean, if you had, like, I could get, again, varsity football offensive line. I could get myself, Sean Spencer, Will Kramer, Nick Rosario, and Ab Lowe. Us 5 can be a better offensive line. And I'm not trying to be disrespectful, but my eyes don't lie. This offensive line is terrible. I mean, they can't pass protect. Receivers are struggling to get constant separation. And this scheming. What is this? And again, I mean, Sam has done a lot better, and this is something that Sean Spencer's pointed out, is he's done a better job of keeping his eyes down the field and not seeing the rush. That's good. But again, I think some of that's changed because I think just the scheme and this pass protection. But I think going into that bye week, I'm really hoping that there's some things that we fixed. And before we get into the game against Los Angeles, I apologize that I went on a rant there, but I need to get that off my chest. Let's get into the sponsor of Big Nate Sports Talk podcast, and that is, ladies and gentlemen, Zagnif Apparel. Ladies and gentlemen, do you want to dress like you're already famous? You can and you will with Zagnif Apparel.
The following is a presentation of Zagnif Productions, LLC. Introducing Zagnif Apparel. Our comfortable line of leisure wear and athletic wear will have you comfortable and stylish at any occasion. Whether you're at the gym, out shopping, or just relaxing at home. Whether you're an athlete or just want to lay around the house, we've got the perfect outfit for you. Stop by our website today and pick up your favorite pieces. Zagnif Apparel. Dress like you're already famous.
You can and you will with a nice 15% off using my discount code BIGNATE off your final purchase. Thank you so much, Zagnif Apparel, Zagnif Apparel, for being a sponsor of Big Need Sports Talk podcast. Ladies and gentlemen, you can and you will dress like you're already famous. Producers, you can know the drill. Go to break. We're back, and the Washington Commanders, coming off what I think is a much needed bye week, are playing the Los Angeles Rams. At this point, I think our playoff hopes have been pretty much dashed, and I think these last 4 games are going to be the essential guide for how this direction of this team is going to go. And in the midst of a 4-game losing streak, we already have made some moves. Last 3 weeks ago, Jack Del was let go. Ron Rivera's taking over the play calling. And over the last 4 games, we've lost over an average of 20 points. And we've now lost the last 9 of our last 11 games since winning the first 2 games of the season. And to make matters worse, I'm already seeing reports that management is already starting to expecting to let go of Ron and some front office people at the end of the season. That is according to Diana Rossini of The Athletic. Which I think is smart. Because again, I'm just of the mindset that, again, firing somebody in the middle of the season, it doesn't change anything. I mean, like, for example, what you're seeing in Oakland, I mean, I'm happy for Antonio Pierce, but let's keep it real. Josh McDaniels should not have been the head coach from the jump. Frank Wright, I've made it clear he was not the coach for Bryce Young. Frank Wright needs a guy like a veteran quarterback, not a guy like Bryce Young. And Brandon Staley was fired after that atrocity that occurred Thursday night against Oakland. Should have been gone after last year, personally. And again, he's had injuries, but this was a year he had to prove something. I think you had to fire him. But again, I'm just more of the mindset you started with this coach at the beginning and let him finish throughout the season. Because it's not, if anything, we're being honest, not only should we reevaluate the front office, we need to reevaluate some of these players because some of these guys got to go. My patience, it's worn thin. Other than coaching, because I have a list right here on my wall. His brother's got to go. I'm sorry, I'm not gonna say names right now, but that's some guys gonna get this. They know this ain't happening. But at this point of the season, I'm not surprised that was said. I mean, just the things, just it's just remnants of Dan Snyder, and I think just Josh Harris. I think he's going to bring in somebody who is a good coach. I think he's going to bring in his own people, front office wise. I just think it's time to close this chapter. It's I'm just keeping it real. So, the Los Angeles Rams, they are a good team. They're coming off a loss to us, the Baltimore Ravens, an overtime 37-31. That was a good game. Personally, shouldn't have to go in overtime. You'll check episode 10 out on that recap. They're playing 2 games. They're hosting 2 games in 5 days. Playing us tomorrow and in New Orleans on Thursday. Sam Howell is actually on pace to break a season team record. He needs 13 completions to rank 3rd all time in a single season. He would pass Kirk Cousins for 342, who accomplished that in 2017. Because Sam right now is at 335. As the 5th leading passer in league, he's almost at the 3,500 mark. He's at 3,466. He has thrown the ball 509 times. That's the most in the league coming into week 15. We have the 32nd worst ranked. We have the 32nd ranked defense, and we're going up against a Los Angeles Rams team that has Cooper Kupp, Puka Nacua, Karen Williams. Tyler Higbee should be playing. I know last game he missed out because of his neck injury, but he should be good to go. I pretty already know what to expect. If I remember, look at their injury report. Higbee's he's been dealing with a neck injury. He's questionable. And there's a defensive back that's questionable. Tatu Atwell has a concussion. They have another tight end that's out with a knee injury. So look for the rookie Davis. I think Taylor Davis, I believe that's his name, who actually had not a bad game against Baltimore. Look for him to have a little bit of a bright spot of the game. I don't know what to expect. And now this is a healthy, starting to kind of get a Rams team that at the beginning of the season was dealing with some injuries. Now it's starting to get together. If you watched, I said they took this Raven team into overtime, and they averaged on the last 3 of the last 4 games almost 35 points a game. And now they're looking pretty good. And it's, again, with Kyron Williams coming back, he's now they have the rushing the ball. I think they're 7th as a team. I think that their proficiency as an offense is going to be problems for us because we've given up almost 37.5 points per game, and we're dead last defense and against the pass rush. You got to take Puka or Cooper away. You got to take something away. And they did a horrendously of a bad job trying to take out Tyreek Hill. I'm curious to see how we match up against those guys. The run game is going to be something to watch. I'm curious to see what this pass rush will do against the offensive line that protects Matthew Stafford. That offensive line is not bad. I'm just curious to see how they'll look. You got to get Tim early. That's my key. That's one of my keys. Another key, as I said, you got to take away Puka or Cooper. Contain the run game. The offense is going to be key. You got to find a way to get Terry McLaurin the ball. Brian Robinson is doubtful to play, so that stings. Jamin Davis is out. Sadiq Charles is out. Manuel Forbes is still with an elbow injury. Armha is dealing with a hamstring injury. Smith Williams, I believe, is dealing with also hamstring injury. They're all questionable. So I'm curious to see how we'll look. I'm not expecting much. Going on the West Coast, I think that just I don't know if that's going to be a good thing or a bad thing for Washington. Well, all I know is that when we've gone, especially on the road, Seattle, Denver, Dallas, gave up 33 points to Denver, 29 points to Seattle, and then 45 points to Dallas. I really I'm sorry. I can't. We're not winning this game. I don't see anything. I think Washington's going to come out, and they're going to come out a little aggressive. And then Los Angeles will make the adjustments. I think Washington will put up, I say, 17 points. I don't expect it to be a one-sided game, but Washington can't give up the big plays. They got to contain that. They got to get to Matthew Stafford. The run game is going to be curious. I'm curious to see how Antonio Gibson and Chris Rodriguez get going. Curtis Samuel's been having decent games, so I'm looking for him and Terry McLaurin and Jahan Dawson to get going as well in the offense. I think this offense can put up, I'll say 17, 21 points. And the Rams, like I said, they're going to be with Puka and Cooper Kupp healthy, Matthew Stafford healthy. I know they're going to look for a little revenge after losing overtime against Baltimore. So I'm going to say 28-17 Rams. I just see a score like that. I don't think it's going to be like Miami or Dallas. I think it's going to be something like that. I think Sam Howell will have a touchdown. I think we'll have also one on the. I think you probably have Antonio Gibson running for a touchdown. I see the defense probably getting at least a couple sacks in there, but it's going to be tough. It's going to be tough. But I really hope this bye week gets them going. I hope it wakes some guys up because at this point, you're playing for not only draft position, but playing for some pride. Go out there and just act like you care. Just try to win the game. Just try. Let's get into one final thought.
Thoughts are running through my mind, so I took some time to find a minute or two to organize them.
My one final thought in this episode is I would like to send my thoughts and prayers to those that were affected at the University of Las Vegas, UNLV. There was a shooting that took place on the campus. It's just another reminder that we really have to do a lot better when it comes to gun control. I know this was about a week or so ago, but it was still fresh in my mind. There were 3 faculty members that were killed. There was a 4th one that was wounded, if I remember correctly. It's just, we can't continue to normalize this stuff. I mean, when does it stop? I mean, now all I can say is that as the people, it is our due diligence to put people in positions of power. It does not matter whether it's local, state, federal. Putting people in positions that are going to do the job that they're supposed to do, because they don't work for us. I mean, we don't work for them. They work for us. And it's sad that we're just normalizing this and just acting like this is part of it, because it's not normal. Because it's like how many more of these do we have to endure before somebody in these positions of power gets it? It doesn't matter. I mean, senators, judge, district congressman, it does not matter. People have to be held accountable for this stuff. And it's frustrating, because as a college student, you now stuff like that is now in the back of your mind. And it's sad. And my thoughts and prayers are with those families. And again, all I can say is we really must do our duty. Get out here and vote, and not the big election. You got an election in your city, your state, go out there and vote. Judges, circuit court, DAs, governor, mayor, district congressman, vote. Get out there and vote, because your vote matters. Whether your vote matters, because what's happening around us is a result of us not putting people in there to do their job the right way. And that's my one final thought. That being said, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for tuning into this episode of Big Nate Sports Talk Podcast. Please like, comment, and subscribe. I will catch you on the flip side. You have a good evening, and you'll see episodes 10 and 11 up as soon as possible. Peace. Stay up.
Thank you for tuning in to Big Nate Sports Talk. If you enjoyed that episode, be sure to like, subscribe, and share the next big thing, the next up-and-coming sports journalist, Big Nate Sports Talk. It's on all the time, anytime.
I want to thank you, yeah. I want to thank you. Ooh. For all the times you put up with me. Thank you. And you helped me retain my sanity. Thank you. I want to thank you. And I want to thank you. All I want to do is say thank you for everything.
I want you to understand. Don't ask me a damn question. Don't ask me anything. You sound off. I'm going to eat some cheese doodles. That's what I'm going to do right now. I'm going to eat some cheese doodles. I don't care. I got a bag of cheese doodles right here in my hand. Y'all go ahead and y'all sound off. If y'all hear me crunching in the background, this is what I do when I'm stressed. Some people squeeze a ball. Some people go, and they kickboxing or they work out and all this other stuff. I eat cheese doodles. That's what I do when I'm stressed. I'm going to eat my cheese doodles. You guys go ahead and you sound off. I've got absolutely nothing else to say about this. This basketball abomination. I'm just that disgusted.
I'm going to reiterate my comments right here, right now. The clock is officially ticking. The honeymoon is over. Damn your feelings. Who gives a damn? You got a job to do. And the job ain't even a championship. It's to be respectable. And you can't even do that?